Few war films have captured the raw confusion of combat like Black Hawk Down. Ridley Scott's masterpiece plunged audiences into the Battle of Mogadishu with stunning realism. Yet, what happened behind the cameras was just as gripping. From searing heat to real soldiers and near-impossible logistics, every frame came with a price. Today, we reveal the secrets hidden for decades, stories of risk, emotion, and ingenuity that made Black Hawk Down one of the most unforgettable war films ever shot. But before Ridley Scott could bring this chaos to life, he needed a story powerful enough to shake the world. Number 1. The book that started it all. The journey to the screen began with ink and interviews, not cameras and explosions. Mark Bowden's nonfiction bestseller, Black Hawk Down, a story of modern war, emerged from relentless journalism, condensing hundreds of first-hand accounts into a gripping narrative that captured the world's attention. His book didn't just tell a story, it reconstructed an 18-hour nightmare with surgical precision. When Ridley Scott discovered Bowden's work, he saw cinematic potential buried in every page. Screenwriter Ken Nolan faced the task of distilling countless voices and overlapping timelines into a coherent script that honored the truth while delivering Hollywood storytelling. The result was a screenplay that preserved the mission's brutal reality without losing its human core. Bowden's meticulous research became the foundation, but Nolan's adaptation gave it structure, turning scattered chaos into a narrative with momentum. What started as journalism became cinema's most honest portrayal of modern warfare. Number 2. Morocco became Mogadishu. Filming in Somalia was never an option. The real Mogadishu remained too dangerous for a Hollywood production. Instead, Ridley Scott turned his attention to Morocco, where the cities of Rabat and Saleh would undergo a stunning transformation. What followed was one of the most ambitious set constructions in war film history. Entire neighborhoods were redesigned to mirror 1993 Mogadishu. Production teams added bullet-pocked facades, dust-coated streets, and debris-strewn alleyways with such authenticity that even locals were startled by the realism. The attention to detail was so extreme that some Moroccan residents reportedly mistook the sets for genuine military occupation. Scott's team studied countless images and testimonies to ensure every corner felt lived in and battle-worn. The result transported actors and audiences alike into a world that felt dangerously real, proving that sometimes the best way to honor history is to rebuild it entirely. Number 3. A cast packed with future stars. Long before they became household names, a group of relatively unknown actors gathered in Morocco for what would become a career-defining project. Black Hawk Down assembled an ensemble that reads like a who's who of future Hollywood royalty. Ewan McGregor, Orlando Bloom, Tom Hardy, Eric Bana, and more. At the time, few could predict the stardom awaiting them. The casting itself was a gamble. Scott mixed British, Australian, and American actors with varying levels of experience, creating a brotherhood that existed only on paper. The diversity could have fractured the film's authenticity, but instead, it added unexpected depth. What bound them together wasn't fame or fortune. It was the brutal training and shared exhaustion that followed. These young actors didn't just perform alongside each other, they endured together. That chemistry, forged in Moroccan heat and military drills, became the film's secret weapon. Years later, as their careers exploded, they all pointed back to this single mission, as the moment everything changed. Number 4. Real soldiers trained the actors. Hollywood boot camp took on a whole new meaning when actual U.S. military advisors arrived on set. These weren't consultants offering suggestions from the sidelines. They were veterans who had lived through the real Battle of Mogadishu. Their job was to transform actors into soldiers, and they didn't go easy on anyone. The training was intense and unforgiving. Actors learned radio codes, weapon handling, combat formations, and the subtle body language of men under fire. Veterans taught them how to carry the psychological weight of combat, the fear, the adrenaline, the split-second decisions that separate life from death. This authenticity reshaped performances across the board. Actors stopped playing soldier and started embodying the mindset. Their movements became sharper, their reactions more instinctive, their eyes more haunted. When cameras rolled, the difference was unmistakable. What appeared on screen wasn't acting. It was muscle memory, discipline, and respect for the real men who had fought this battle years before. Number 5. Finished filming just before 9/11. Production wrapped in the summer of 2001, just months before the world changed forever. When September 11th arrived, Black Hawk Down suddenly existed in a completely different context. The film that had been shot as a historical war drama was now releasing into a nation freshly traumatized and newly focused on military conflict. The timing couldn't have been more profound. Audiences entered theaters with raw emotions, viewing the film through a lens of grief, patriotism, and uncertainty about future wars. Marketing shifted, reviews took on deeper meaning, and the film's depiction of sacrifice resonated in ways the filmmakers never anticipated. This accident of history transformed Black Hawk Down from entertainment into something closer to reflection. The film's haunting portrayal of courage and chaos felt less like fiction and more like prophecy, as if Ridley Scott had somehow captured the mood of a post-9/11 world before it even existed. Number 6. Accuracy came with controversy. Not every viewer saw Black Hawk Down through the same lens, and the debate started almost immediately. Some critics praised the film's unflinching realism and technical precision, celebrating it as one of the most authentic war films ever made. Others raised concerns that the narrative focused too heavily on American soldiers, while giving limited depth to Somali perspectives and suffering. Ridley Scott defended his artistic choices, explaining that his goal was to immerse audiences in the specific experience of the soldiers trapped in that battle. He argued that the film wasn't designed as a comprehensive historical document, but rather as a visceral recreation of combat from one perspective. The controversy sparked important conversations about how war films handle perspective and responsibility, whether viewers saw it as a triumph of authenticity or a missed opportunity for broader context. Black Hawk Down refused to let audiences look away from the chaos and cost of modern warfare. Number 7. Real locations, real heat. Morocco's climate didn't just provide atmosphere, it became a relentless adversary for cast and crew alike. Temperatures soared to 120 degrees Fahrenheit during filming, turning the set into a furnace where every scene demanded physical endurance. Sandstorms rolled in without warning, coating equipment and lungs with fine desert dust that seemed to infiltrate everything. Dehydration became a constant threat, with medics stationed throughout the set to monitor actors and crew members showing signs of heat exhaustion. Actors didn't have to fake the sweat, the fatigue, or the desperation in their eyes. The environment provided all of that naturally. Yet this brutal reality became an unexpected gift to the film's authenticity. The haze hanging in the air, the exhaustion etched into every face, the way bodies moved with heavy weariness. None of it could have been replicated with visual effects. Morocco's punishing heat forced everyone to experience a fraction of what the real soldiers endured, and that truth bled into every frame. Number 8. Helicopters were really flying. When you watch Black Hawk Down, those stomach-dropping aerial shots aren't illusions or clever camera tricks. Real UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters, flown by actual Army pilots from the elite 161st Special Operations Aviation Regiment, soared through the Moroccan skies. These weren't Hollywood stunt pilots playing soldier. They were the genuine article, executing maneuvers that made even seasoned film crews nervous. Pilots performed low-altitude stunts through crowded sets filled with actors, explosives, and expensive equipment. Scott's meticulous planning and the pilot's extraordinary skill delivered spine-rattling realism that audiences could feel in their bones. This commitment to practical effects separated Black Hawk Down from typical war films. The rotor wash kicked up real dust, the engine noise drowned out everything else, and the shadows cast by massive machines overhead weren't added in post-production. When helicopters screamed across the screen, viewers were witnessing the same aircraft and pilots who perform real military operations. Number 9. Long takes to capture real chaos. Scott made a bold choice that defined the film's visceral impact. He refused to rely on rapid-fire editing tricks common in action cinema. Instead, he deployed up to 8 cameras simultaneously to capture extended, unbroken takes that forced audiences to stay inside the chaos. There was nowhere to hide, no quick cut to release tension or reset focus. This approach demanded everything from the actors. Combat sequences required sustained energy, focus, and physical intensity across minutes of continuous action. One mistake meant starting over from the beginning, and the pressure to maintain authenticity throughout these marathon takes elevated every performance. The result was immersion, unlike anything audiences had experienced before. Viewers couldn't escape into the comfort of traditional editing rhythms. They were trapped in the battle alongside the soldiers. Scott's long takes didn't just show the Battle of Mogadishu. They made audiences feel like they were living through it. Number 10. Locals became the crowd scenes. Hundreds of Moroccan citizens stepped into roles as Somali civilians, bringing an authenticity that professional extras could never match. Many had never acted before, which meant their reactions to explosions, gunfire, and chaos carried a genuine spontaneity that scripted performances couldn't replicate. Language barriers created both challenges and unexpected brilliance on set. Directors couldn't always communicate precise instructions, which meant locals often reacted instinctively rather than following choreographed movements. This created moments of chaos that felt startlingly real. People running in unexpected directions, genuine confusion mixing with staged action. Working with non-actors gave Black Hawk Down a documentary quality that elevated it beyond typical Hollywood war films. Their contribution became one of the film's most underappreciated secrets, adding layers of authenticity that viewers absorbed without necessarily recognizing the source. Number 11. Every explosion was real. Ridley Scott made a decision that would define the film's raw intensity. He refused to use CGI fireballs. Every explosion viewers witness on screen was a live detonation, carefully orchestrated by expert pyrotechnic teams who turned the Moroccan sets into actual war zones. The ground shook, debris flew through the air, and cameras were coated in thick layers of dust after each blast. Each explosion required precise timing, safety protocols, and coordination with actors who had to trust that the fireballs erupting around them were controlled chaos. The risk was real, the danger palpable, and everyone on set knew that one miscalculation could turn tragedy into reality. Audiences didn't just see the explosions, they felt them. The visceral impact of real fire, real shockwaves, and real heat bleeding through the screen created a sensory experience that bypassed the brain and hit the gut. Scott's refusal to compromise on authenticity transformed Black Hawk Down from a war movie into a war experience, proving that sometimes the most dangerous path leads to the most powerful cinema. Number 12. The Color of War. Cinematographer Sławomir Idziak didn't just film Black Hawk Down. He reimagined what war should look like on screen. His visual approach centered on desaturated colors, harsh sunlight, and layers of dust filters that transform Morocco into a blinding, suffocating nightmare. The palette was deliberately stripped of vibrancy, leaving only washed-out earth tones and piercing white light. Idziak's goal was singular: make viewers feel trapped inside a dust storm where visibility, clarity, and certainty evaporate. He wanted audiences to experience the disorientation of combat, where friend and foe blur together in a haze of confusion. This visual strategy influenced an entire generation of war films that followed. The handheld grit, the bleached aesthetic, the way light seemed to attack rather than illuminate, these choices became the new language for depicting modern combat. Idziak's work proved that how you show war matters as much as what you show, and his innovations continue to shape military cinema today. Number 13. No Man Left Behind wasn't a slogan. At the heart of Black Hawk Down beats a principle that transcends military doctrine, the sacred creed that no soldier is abandoned, regardless of cost. This wasn't propaganda or Hollywood sentimentality. It was the actual driving force behind the real mission and the film's emotional core. The entire battle extended for hours, specifically because soldiers refused to leave their fallen brothers behind. This principle shaped every aspect of the screenplay. Characters made decisions that defied tactical logic but honored an unbreakable bond. Men risked death to recover bodies, convoys turned back into kill zones, and the mission morphed from a quick raid into a desperate rescue operation. The commitment elevated Black Hawk Down from pure action spectacle to a portrait of sacrifice and duty. The film asked a haunting question without ever speaking it aloud. What would you risk to bring a brother home? That moral weight gave the chaos meaning and transformed explosions into something far more profound. Number 14. The Hidden Timeline Trick. The real Battle of Mogadishu raged for nearly 18 brutal hours, yet Ridley Scott compressed that marathon into a tight cinematic time frame that never felt rushed. This wasn't simply cutting content. It was a sophisticated editing illusion that manipulated time while preserving the battle's epic scale. The secret lay in overlapping sound design and carefully orchestrated camera cues. Editors used audio to bridge scenes, letting helicopter rotors or gunfire carry across cuts to create seamless transitions. Characters appeared in multiple locations within moments, yet the editing rhythm convinced audiences that hours were passing. This technique kept tension coiled tight throughout the film. Instead of showing the full 18 hours in real time, the editing distilled chaos into concentrated intensity. The result was a film that felt both endless and relentless. capturing the psychological experience of combat more honestly than any clock could measure. Number 15. Deleted scenes told a darker story. When an extended edition surfaced years after the theatrical release, audiences discovered moments of raw humanity that had been stripped away. These deleted scenes showed soldiers breaking down emotionally, questioning their orders, and confronting the moral weight of their actions in ways the original cut avoided. The cuts weren't about censorship, they were about pacing. Scott and his editors recognized that including these quieter, more introspective moments would slow the film's relentless momentum. Scenes of exhaustion, doubt, and despair added depth, but interrupted the visceral experience that defined the theatrical version. What the extended edition revealed was a more complete but less focused film. The deleted material showed soldiers as more vulnerable, more uncertain, more human, but also made the battle feel less immediate. By trimming these moments, the theatrical cut kept audiences trapped in combat's suffocating grip. It was a calculated sacrifice, some humanity exchanged for unbroken tension. Number 16. The camera crew was in the crossfire. Capturing the chaos of the movie meant putting camera operators in genuine danger alongside the actors. These crew members worked shoulder to shoulder with performers amid billowing smoke, flying debris, and live explosions that didn't distinguish between talent and technician. Their commitment to realism meant accepting risks that most film productions would never tolerate. Equipment took a beating throughout production. Cameras were damaged by dust, shattered by debris, and scorched by heat from pyrotechnic blasts. Operators frequently dove for cover when explosions went off too close, then scrambled back to their positions to keep rolling. This fearless filming style gave Black Hawk Down its documentary-like intensity. The camera didn't observe the battle from a safe distance, it lived inside it. Shaky frames, sudden jerks when explosions hit, and the raw immediacy of handheld shots all came from operators who refused to flinch. Number 17. A soundtrack that mixed cultures. Composer Hans Zimmer faced an unusual challenge. How do you score a film that depicts American soldiers fighting in Somalia without favoring one cultural perspective? His solution was to create a haunting soundscape that blended African percussion, Middle Eastern instruments, and modern digital tones into something entirely unique. Zimmer's music mirrored the film's moral complexity. Traditional war movie scores celebrate heroism with soaring orchestras, but Black Hawk Down needed something more ambiguous. The percussion felt primal and relentless, the electronic elements cold and mechanical, while spiritual vocals hinted at human cost on all sides. This experimental approach became one of Zimmer's most distinctive war scores. It refused to glorify combat or provide emotional comfort, instead immersing audiences in the same confusion and dread the soldiers experienced. Number 18. A $90 million gamble that paid off. With a massive production budget and an R rating that would limit its audience, Black Hawk Down represented a significant financial risk. Studios typically hesitated to invest heavily in war films that offered no romance, little humor, and uncompromising violence. The project demanded faith that audiences were ready for something grimmer and more realistic than traditional combat movies. Marketing the film proved challenging. How do you sell unrelenting brutality to mainstream audiences without making it look exploitative? The promotional campaign walked a delicate line, emphasizing authenticity and honoring real soldiers while acknowledging the film's intense nature. Box office success silenced the doubters. Black Hawk Down proved that audiences craved realism over sanitized heroics, that they could handle complexity and moral ambiguity if the storytelling earned it. Number 19. Actors were emotionally shaken. The relentless battle sequences took a profound psychological toll that extended far beyond physical exhaustion. Constant gunfire, explosions, and simulated chaos blurred the line between performance and reality for many cast members. Days spent immersed in combat scenarios, surrounded by smoke and screaming, created an environment where instincts overwhelmed acting technique. Several actors struggled to transition back to normal life after filming wrapped. Post-shoot interviews revealed performers admitting they had trouble sleeping, experienced heightened anxiety, or found themselves emotionally drained in ways they hadn't anticipated. This emotional cost added unexpected authenticity to performances. The exhaustion wasn't simulated. The 1,000-yard stares weren't purely acting, and the shell-shocked expressions came from genuine mental fatigue. The film captured something raw and real because the people in front of the camera were genuinely shaken by what they had endured. Number 20. Real veterans joined the cast. Several actual soldiers, including some who had fought in the 1993 Battle of Mogadishu, appeared throughout the film in background roles and as technical advisors. Their presence on set added layers of authenticity that trained actors alone could never provide. These men didn't need to imagine the weight of combat gear or the adrenaline of being under fire. They carried those memories in their bones. For these veterans, returning to a recreation of their most traumatic experience triggered complex emotions. Some found the process cathartic, a chance to honor fallen brothers and ensure their story was told accurately. They guided actors through small details: how to check corners, the instinctive crouch when helicopters pass overhead, the way exhaustion changes how soldiers move. Watching young actors recreate moments they had lived through brought tears, pride, and occasionally anger when details felt wrong. These veterans became the film's conscience, keeping the production grounded in truth rather than Hollywood spectacle. Number 21. A hidden tribute inside the credits. When the credits roll at the end of Black Hawk Down, most viewers stand up and leave the theater. Those who remain seated discover something remarkable: subtle symbols and dedications woven throughout the closing sequence that honor the fallen soldiers of Mogadishu. These weren't flashy tributes demanding attention, but quiet memorials designed for those who cared enough to look. Ridley Scott insisted on these honors from the beginning. He understood that the film told a story about real people who never came home, and their names deserved more than a quick acknowledgement. The names of the 18 American soldiers who died in the battle appeared alongside production crew, a deliberate mixing that elevated their sacrifice to equal importance with the filmmaking itself. For families of the fallen, these credits became a lasting, nearly invisible monument, proof that their loved ones wouldn't be forgotten. Number 22. Aerial sound mixing changed cinema. The sound team behind Black Hawk Down didn't just record noise. They revolutionized how war films communicate chaos through audio. They captured genuine helicopter rotors, authentic gunfire, and ambient city echoes from actual combat environments, then layered these elements to simulate the overwhelming confusion soldiers experience. This approach required rethinking traditional sound design principles. Instead of ensuring every word remained audible and every sound effect stayed separated, they created dense walls of overlapping audio, where radio chatter competed with rotor wash and explosions drowned out dialogue. The innovations reshaped Hollywood's approach to sound realism for years afterward. Films like The Hurt Locker, Dunkirk, and 1917 all borrowed from Black Hawk Down's playbook. The team proved that sometimes the most powerful audio design isn't about clarity, it's about capturing the terrifying cacophony that makes war so chaotic. Number 23. Oscar Gloria Mid-Division. At the 2002 Academy Awards, Black Hawk Down claimed two major victories: Best Film Editing and Best Sound. These technical achievements represented more than simple recognition. They validated that craftsmanship could transcend controversy. While critics debated the film's perspective and political implications, the Academy acknowledged the undeniable mastery behind its construction. Pietro Scalia's editing transformed 18 hours of battle into 2 hours of relentless tension without losing coherence or emotional impact. His work proved that editing isn't just about cutting footage. It's about controlling time, manipulating perception, and guiding audiences through chaos without letting them escape. Michael Minkler and the sound team received equal recognition for creating an auditory experience that redefined war film acoustics. Both victories became career-defining moments that turned Scalia and Minkler into industry legends. Number 24. It shaped post-9/11 war movies. The handheld realism and visual grit of Black Hawk Down became the blueprint that defined war cinema for the next 2 decades. Its influence appeared everywhere, from the shaky cameras of The Hurt Locker to the immersive combat of American Sniper to the desaturated palette of Zero Dark 30. The shift went beyond visual style. Black Hawk Down proved that audiences could handle moral ambiguity, that war movies didn't need clear heroes and villains to succeed. It demonstrated that showing combat's confusion and cost without offering easy answers could resonate more powerfully than traditional patriotic narratives. This legacy extended to television as well, influencing series like Generation Kill and The Long Road Home. The documentary-style camera work, the focus on squad-level perspectives, the refusal to glorify violence, all became standard approaches for depicting modern warfare. Black Hawk Down didn't just make a great war film, it redefined what war films could be. Number 25. A new documentary is coming. The story of the Battle of Mogadishu refuses to fade into history. A new Netflix documentary series titled Surviving Black Hawk Down is currently in production, promising first-hand accounts from soldiers who lived through the actual mission. The project aims to capture perspectives that the 2001 film couldn't fully explore. This documentary will feature previously unseen footage from the real battle, military records that have since been declassified, and intimate interviews with survivors now willing to share details they've kept private for decades. The connection between Scott's film and this upcoming documentary illustrates how Black Hawk Down became more than entertainment. It became a gateway to history. The movie introduced millions to a battle most had never heard of, creating curiosity that still drives people to seek deeper truth. As veterans age and more information emerges, the story keeps expanding, reminding us that some missions never truly end. Black Hawk Down remains more than a movie. It's an echo of sacrifice, precision, and courage that refuses to fade. Ridley Scott and his team risked everything to honor the real mission and the men who lived it, creating a film that changed how we see war on screen. From the scorching Moroccan heat to the real helicopters overhead, from the veterans who guided every detail to the sound design that redefined cinema, this production pushed boundaries that most films never dare approach. It proved that authenticity demands sacrifice, and that sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that leave us shaken rather than reassured. If you enjoyed discovering these hidden stories, like and subscribe for more untold Hollywood revelations. Which secret shocked you most about Black Hawk Down? Tell us in the comments.